Dobry dien. Меня зовут Cindy Whitney, Ayatatak, discovering Laguna Woods Village. That's right. Today we're going to be sitting in on 2 language classes. We're going to visit a Chinese language class and a Russian language class. And we're going to sit in and watch the students learn vocabulary words, and they're going to be conjugating verbs. And some of them are going to be learning a new language, and some are attending the class because they want to refresh a language they already know. Either way, these students are challenging themselves cognitively, and they're learning new skills. So we are going to go in, and you're going to find it very interesting. Looks like we're heading back to school, and we don't want to be late for class. Come join us, won't you? Joining us now is John Adams. He is one of the students in the Russian language class. And John, hi, how are you?
All right, thanks.
So do you enjoy the Russian language class?
Very much, yes. I find it very challenging and very stimulating to my memory, and also forcing me to do a lot of thinking because the language is very complex, the grammar, and it's a highly inflected language. What I mean by that is that every noun, pronoun, adjective has a different ending depending on which case you're going to use in the sentence. And there's 6 cases, so you can see that it's very complex. It's very similar to ancient Greek, for example.
Now, I noticed that. I sat in the class a little bit earlier, and I was watching. There is a small group of you that are meeting in there. I guess you meet once a week. Mm-hmm. And what I watched was, I guess it's because it's adult learners, that there is already a base, kind of a baseline knowledge of Russian, and so you're in a peer relationship with your instructor. Would you characterize it that way?
Yes, pretty much, but our instructor, Janet, she lived in Moscow for 12 years. So she has a very in-depth knowledge of Russian language. And the other people in the class, for example, you know Edward, he was brought up in the Ukraine and then forced to go into a concentration camp at Auschwitz later on. So he has very interesting stories to tell. And even Ami, he's from Israel, and he's got some very interesting stories to tell, and he studied a little Russian. And Haskell has studied several years of Russian, and his family is from the certain parts of Russia. Some of the other people in class have families there. Almost everybody has been to Russia. And they have stories to tell, just like Edward. And so the class gets very interesting, not just for language, but for information about Russia itself, life in Russia.
Yes. So there's a social aspect to this class as well.
Yes. It's a very energetic class. We're always jumping in with information. But if we think something is not quite right, we don't understand, we immediately speak up. So nobody's self-conscious, you might say.
Yes, I noticed that there seems to be a real, a genuine desire to learn, but also to teach one another, which is a really nice dynamic in there. Now, you mentioned to me a little earlier that you have some experience with the Russian language as well.
Yes. In 1960, I joined the Air Force, and after boot camp, they sent me to Indiana universities to study Russian for 1 year. And after I left the military 4 years later, I just went on to do other things, and then as of now, I felt guilty about letting that language disappear, so I wanted to bring it back. But there are other reasons I'm taking the class. And one, as I said, it's a challenge. It stimulates the gray matter. It's a complex language. It's better than sitting down doing crossword puzzles because you have to think as well as try to remember everything. And I'm not so much interested in going to Russia as a traveler, but I want to read the literature and the history, which I find very interesting.
So do you want to go in and read some of the Russian classics, for example?
Oh, yes. I've read some of them, not in Russian so much, but in English, and I like the literature.
Okay, that brings up the question, does the meaning change when you read a classic piece of literature in the language in which it was written as opposed to the translation into English?
Oh, yes, yes, it changes quite often. It's not exactly what you read in English is not really an exact translation, but it's, let's say you were reading Dante's poetry or Russian poetry. You can't get exact translations. You have to have the feeling for the language. And that's what a lot of us have in the class. We have a feeling for the language. That takes time. Now, one of the other reasons to take the class is if you're going to travel in Russia, this class is very good, but you have to stick it out for about a year to get a feel for the language and not be misled by literal translations.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know what I noticed, I've attended some classes where young children are learning a second language, and there's a different dynamic where the children are struggling because there's a real teacher-student relationship. But in here, I noticed that there is this wonderful collegiality where everybody is sharing. Well, you could say it this way, or you could, if in this situation, you might say it this way. Was that kind of the case?
We're kind of comrades, if you'll accept that.
I will.
They don't say tovarishchi anymore, but yeah, there's a comradeship there. We're all in it together. We're all helping each other, and it's fun. There's a lot of energy.
Yes, yes. So this is your thing. Instead of going out on the golf course and doing some of the other things that you could be doing, this is one of the things that you really invest your time in here in the village.
Oh, yeah, my golf days are over. Yeah, it's time just to keep the gray matter going. I'm happy if I remember what I did yesterday.
Me too.
So,
Well, thank you so much, John, for speaking with us. We really appreciate it because this is a really terrific opportunity that we have here to learn another language, and a lot of people, I'm sure, are curious as to what would motivate you to do that, and I think you've helped a lot of people understand that.
well, с удовольствием, with pleasure. So,
Spasiba. And now I'm very happy to be speaking with Ed Hoffman, who is another of the students in the Russian language class. And hi, Ed, how are you today?
I'm ginger peachy.
Oh, that's my favorite answer that you give me. You're ginger peachy. And I know that you are in this class and you've been in it a little over a year. Yeah. Tell me why you're in this class.
Well, I thought I had some time to take a class, and I speak the language, but I couldn't read it.
You couldn't read. You couldn't read the language.
Read the language because I was a little kid when I learned the language, and or they spoke at home back when I was born. It's a little bit different. It's sort of a Ukraine style English. I mean Russian. And when I came here, they advertised about the class, and I came here and I liked the teacher very much so. And the group of guys, I enjoy myself to come and learn how to read from beginning from the alphabets. It's a different written, the alphabets though. So I enjoyed myself.
So do you have any other opportunity to use your Russian language skills? I know you speak other languages, but Russian, do you have other people that you can speak to?
Over at the Clubhouse 4, there's a group of guys who speak Russian language, and we talk to each other over there, and they all tell me that I speak like a kid.
Is that a compliment?
Well, you know, the grammar may be not that perfect as it should be. And so I'm learning quite a bit here with the professor, and she is excellent. Well, she lived in Russia for about 13, 14 years.
Yes. And what are some of the other languages that you speak, Ed?
Well, I speak German, Hungarian, the Russian, and I speak Jewish, and I think I speak English.
You speak English very well. And I know that you have other skills. I'm going to just bring this up because I have another experience of knowing you, and that as a master jeweler, that you are just outstanding as a jewelry maker. And do you still do that?
Yes, I'm the supervisor at the Clubhouse 4 in the jewelry line. As a matter of fact, when I came there, I started talking to the supervisor who was in charge over there. I said, I want to take a class to learn more about the jewelry. And when he talked to me, he just tore up my paper. He says, you are the supervisor.
That's good to know. So that's kind of a right brain thing. And would you say that the language class...
I've never been a jeweler before.
Really?
No.
So you give credit, a lot of credit to Clubhouse 4?
Before I moved here, I was in El Camino College, took some jewelry classes. And that's all background I have in the jewelry.
Yes. So the jewelry is your right brain, and the language skills are using your left brain. Would you say that was probably true?
Probably true. Yeah.
Wow. So your knowledge of language, different languages, has really benefited you really throughout your life, hasn't it?
Yes. Quite a bit.
Yes. And you're still learning. That's what's so amazing.
As a matter of fact, when I went back to Budapest about 6 years ago, they couldn't tell if I'm not Hungarian. And even now, I speak perfect Hungarian, but I do write and read in Hungarian language because my mother used to graduate at college in Budapest. So she was teaching us the Hungarian language.
Well, we're going to come back and we're going to do the Ed Hoffman show with you because you have so many things to tell us, and we can learn so much from you, Ed. And you know I love you, and so it's wonderful to talk to you, and I thank you for helping us to understand more about why you come to this particular class every Wednesday and how it enriches your life.
I continue to come because I like the group of guys, and the teacher is excellent.
Yes.
She's a very nice lady.
Yes, Janet Pressler. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ed. We appreciate you coming here to talk with us today about your class, and we hope that you continue on and continue to grow your language skills. And we can't wait to see what you do next. Okay.
Me too.
Okay. Thanks, Ed.
Hi, I'm Brian Rott, President and CEO of Cart Mart here in Laguna Woods. My family's been in the golf cart business since 1959, and we win our customers over with the simple belief of we treat you right. We are proud to be the authorized dealer for Club Cart here in Orange County and your go-to source for the sales and service to other major brands. We're conveniently located on El Toro Road, just minutes from Laguna Woods. So come by and see for yourself, while when doing business with Cart Mart, there's no reason to go anywhere else.
Hi, it's Desiree from Irvine Subaru, where families come first. As a family-ran dealership, your family's safety is our #1 priority. Come in and find the perfect Subaru from the largest selection of Subarus in Orange County. All models are top safety picks by the Insurance Institute of Highway Safety. We offer the ideal balance of safety, performance, and economy. Irvine Subaru, more Subarus, more safety, more performance, more love.
Hey Laguna Woods, it's Ken.
And Lisa.
Did you miss an episode of This Day? Not to worry, head over to youtube.com and search Village Television.
Here you can find each episode of This Day and other community programs such as Good Day OC, Discovering Laguna Woods, and much more.
Just click the red subscribe button, then click the bell to be emailed every time we upload a video.
Don't miss out.
And subscribe today.
What is 因为? Because. And what is 国殇日? Memorial Day. Yeah. The Chinese don't, when we say Memorial Day here, we immediately know that's the day we recognize the people who sacrifice, or especially military people sacrifice for the country. But the Chinese, if you just say Memorial Day, which is 纪念日, okay? So 国殇 is the two word to indicate it's people who die for the country, okay? So 国殇, right? That means die for the country, okay? So that's why it's called, we translate to 国殇纪念日, okay? And what's the next word? What's 办公室? Office. Okay, and what's the next? Okay, what does that mean? Not open. Okay, good. Very good. So let's follow me, okay? Read it once, okay? 因为是国殇日，办公室不开门。Okay, 有没有问题？ Yes.
What is G Nyanhi? Or G is the day.
No, do not think of it that way. You have to think of 纪念日 3 as a terminology, which means, what did I say? 纪念日 is what? Memorial Day. Okay? 纪念日 is Memorial Day. But you know, if you just literally think about Memorial Day, it could be memorizing anything, right? So.
We're speaking with Deborah Green, who is a student in the Chinese language class. And Deborah, we're so interested in why you're attending the class and how long you've been coming and so forth. Could you tell us a little bit about why you're in the class?
Sure. I think it's been about 4.5, close to 5 years. And I noticed that after I retired, my memory was getting really bad. It's like a muscle, I guess, if you don't use it. So I started taking Spanish, which I have taken before, and then I added French. And then when the Chinese class started, I thought, wow, that's challenging. So for a while I was doing all three, but the homework was too much. So I dropped the Spanish because I already spoke Spanish. But I love the Chinese class because it's so different from anything I've ever done. And I would love to learn the characters as well. Grace hasn't taught us that yet, but I hope she will.
Well, I was noticing just at the beginning of your class where you're going over your homework, which I'm sure you've been rehearsing and pronouncing words and so forth, but she put it up there. She did use the Chinese characters, so is that how you're beginning to learn the Chinese characters as well, or are you just learning to read now? I'm saying just, it's not easy. You're learning to read the language now.
Well, I think she does it for Mr. Lee, who's Korean, and he can kind of read the characters. And also Barbara is Chinese. She can read the characters, and her husband Baldwin. So a few of the people in the class can read the characters. The rest of us, we have to rely on the pinyin.
Oh, I see. Oh, but this is wonderful. So all of those languages, did you find similarities or differences in the languages that you were learning with French and Spanish and now Chinese? Were there similarities, or why did you choose to do that?
Well, with the French and Spanish, there's a little crossover, very little. But now my problem is that when I try to think of something in Chinese, it comes out half French and half Chinese. So it's very hard to keep those things separated, but my memory has just gotten so much better. It's amazing. It was just night and day.
This is complex, and a lot of people are doing puzzles, and we do other things. I do them too to try and keep that memory functioning and and stimulated and so forth. So you're finding this is a difference, a real difference.
It is, because it's novel. It's not, we've all done puzzles, we've all, done crosswords. This is novel. You have to really, I think, create new brain circuits to do this.
Right. And the benefit also is that you'll be able to converse with people in a new language. Is that something that you find interesting?
Yes, my neighbors.
Yes,
I have Chinese neighbors, so that's fun. I practice on them, they correct me.
Well, that's good. See, there's a social aspect of this too.
There is.
Now, are you planning to take a trip?
I've been to China a couple of times, to different parts of China. Don't really plan to go back. So I started Chinese after that.
Right, right. You know, I've traveled a little bit too, and it's really, if you're learning a language, it's kind of disappointing when you get there because they all know English, and so you don't get a chance to use it that much. So this would be an opportunity to do it. But I'm sure you'll have plenty of opportunity locally here to use your Chinese language skills.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a big Chinese population in the village, so that's fun.
Yes. So would you recommend somebody that's here and they're looking for a new way to say, you know what, I need to kind of really strengthen my cognitive abilities? Would I be interested in signing up for this class? What would you say to them?
I would say definitely, but this is not a beginner class. That's it's moved into more of an intermediate class now. So unless you've had some background in Chinese, it might be a little difficult to catch up. Although Baldwin has only been in the class for a few weeks, and he's really good now.
Well, that's interesting, in just a few weeks' time. And also, I think the library has a whole section over there of audio tapes where you can check them out and learn, at least at a basic level, a beginner level of the Chinese language. So that might be something to start with, too.
Yeah, we use tapes at home. When there's no class for any reason, we do the tapes. Because, otherwise it slips away.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Deborah, thank you so much for letting us know why you're in the class and what you're getting out of it. And it just sounds so exciting. I hope a lot of people are inspired to join you. Are you looking forward to new people coming in
Always.
if they have a little bit of experience?
Always.
Okay.
Always,
All right.
yes.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. And now we're speaking with Grace Sams, who is the instructor in the Chinese language class. Now, Grace, how long have you been instructing this class?
Over 4 years, 4 or 5 years.
And has the class grown in size?
We have people coming and going because they learn about a class, they'll come, then they realize maybe it's not what they want, and then they don't come anymore. And we always have handouts for the new people, so we lose a lot of handouts.
Oh.
But this group you see today, they're pretty much the core group, and they have stayed with the class and from the beginning, so that's why they're not really the beginning class.
Oh, I see.
Yes, and they're become friends. We become friends, and of course, I think learning a new language is the best way to keep our Alzheimer's away, and so they're happy about that.
Yes, it helps. It helps to stimulate our thinking, our brain, our memory, and all of our cognitive skills to learn something new, especially if it's challenging. So I think, the type of attrition that you have with people coming and then not staying, I think that happens with a lot of different classes, but those who are staying are really developing this new knowledge, and then they can converse with people too.
Yes, and they can say, not bad. They're pretty good. And I'm happy with their pronunciations and able to read a little bit. But the class does not teach writing because Chinese writing is quite difficult. And so this is just for people who want to learn conversation and be able to, communicate. And so that's what we use. The system is called pinyin, which is using the Western alphabets to give the sound of each Chinese word. And so that's why you see me using a lot of English letters to give them the sound.
Oh, I see, because I was looking at their homework, and it seemed that they were reading that, so that was an English.
They read the sound. But I do give them the characters, because some people in the class, they can read a little bit, and because they came from, say, Indonesia or something, and with some Chinese ancestry, so they like to pick up the language, and so they come, and so they can kind of see a little bit. And like Mr. Lee, he is from Korea, and he's interested in Chinese language. And so he can read a little bit because they have certain words that are similar to the Chinese characters, the Koreans. And so that helps, and he can read it.
So they kind of all have different reasons for being here, and not all of them are planning a trip to China in the future.
No. They've been here, with the class for almost 5 years, and it's not because they want to take a trip. We did have people like that. They come and say, "Oh, I'm taking a trip next week to China," and I said, "Okay."
They're going to learn taxi, restroom.
Yeah, I say, "Here's the handbook."
Right. It's not really for that. No, this is.
Well, I mean, it's something, an activity in this village for people to do, and we try to make it fun, and we became friends, and we sometimes have parties and things like that, and then learn something new as well.
Yes. Yeah, what a fun way to do that. I noticed that you serve snacks. That's a real plus. I'm thinking of coming myself now.
Yeah, but they always bring snacks, and sometimes I say, "No, I can't take this. It's too much sweet."
No. But that is wonderful that there is a social aspect to it where people can come and have a very unique thing that they share.
Yeah.
And it's learning, and it's a safe environment too. I noticed that no one was really kind of judging anybody based on anything.
Sometimes we do have people, being cantankerous, but
Well,
but it's all in the family.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's right. It's family.
Yeah.
It's very true.
So, yeah.
Well, is there anything that you would like to say to other people who are living in the village that might see this and say, "Well, gee, I'd like to try that." What would you say about them having an interest in coming in and joining your class?
Well, they're always welcome. And like I say, learning something new is good for us seniors. And so if you want to do that, and why not come try it? It's a drop-in class and no test.
Right, that's a big plus.
Yeah, so just come and drop in, and we're here every Monday from 2 o'clock to 3. So everybody's welcome.
Yes, but you suggest that they have maybe an understanding or a little baseline understanding of the language itself?
Well, if somebody's totally new to the language, then we can, if I have enough people, we can arrange to have another class.
I see.
Yes. And so, it's all depends how the situation develops.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, yes. So, and some people, and that's probably why, they try it and they say, "Oh, it's too hard," but
Yes.
you have to stay with it,
Yes,
just
like
like all the
things.
language.
Yes, like all things.
Yeah.
Well, Grace, I thank you so much for letting us come in and sit in your class and sort of drop in and observe and watch how much everyone is enjoying it and to share that with the community. I think that's
Sure.
wonderful, and thank you so much for letting us do that.
Oh, well, thank you for doing this.
Of course.
Thank you
My
very
pleasure.
much.
That's our show. We want to thank our wonderful language instructors, Janet Pressler and Grace Sams, for allowing us to come in, and all of the students that are in the classes. Especially want to thank Ed Hoffman, John Adams, and Deborah Green for allowing us to have a little insight into why they are enjoying the classes. And we hope that you watch us on Village Television and like us on YouTube and join us every time on Discovering Laguna Woods Village. Spasiba. Do svidania.